To begin their E3 press conference this year, Sony came out with that video was long. The intro video they came out with was extremely long, but they got right into it afterwards. They started talking about the PS2, how it sold 2 million, units last year, and now the price is $99. Blah blah blah. I thought that was boring. Who forget about the PS2? They started the thing that they talked about. The first PS3 game that they showed was Uncharted 2, and understandably so, because out of all the exclusives that Sony used to have, like, they're losing exclusives left and right, like Devil May Cry, Metal Gear Solid, Final Fantasy, games like that have been moved to the Xbox 360. So games that are exclusive to the Sony console are getting a lot more shine, like Uncharted. They're really pushing Uncharted 2, and I understand why. It looks really good. Make sure you check out the trailers for that game because it looks really good. That's going to be a game that's going to be important for the Sony to have, since it's an exclusive title only on the PS3. Next, they started talking about MAG, the massive action game, which is the game where you can play with 256 people online. That's pretty crazy. It's a shooter where you get to play with 256 of your closest friends, if you can name 256 of your closest friends, or if you even have 256 friends. But I seen the video on the game. The thing that worries me about the game is the lag that's possible that I've seen in the game. I thought it could have been smoother, and how chaotic having 256 people on one map can be. And then the next thing that Sony decided to talk about was the PSP, and they unveiled the PSP Go officially. We already knew it was coming, but they unveiled PSP Go officially, and they went on this long, oh my goodness, they started talking about the PSP for the next 30-45 minutes. I don't know if it was just me, but it felt like the Sony conference was the longest out of the three. Definitely, they went off on the PSP. They talked about Gran Turismo for the PSP. Kojima, the guy who makes Metal Gear Solid, came out, started talking about Metal Gear Solid Peace Walker, which takes place in the 70s, 10 years after Snake Eater. It's supposed to be a true sequel, blah blah blah. And it looks to have 4-player co-op. I'm not really excited about any PSP game, really, but at least they have PSP support. People who still have the PSP. Next, they talked about Assassin's Creed 2, which looks really good. Now, don't get me wrong. The first one, they said, I think the first one sold maybe 8 million, or either 8 or 5 million copies worldwide. But to be honest with you, the game was fun at first, but then it definitely got repetitive. But Assassin's Creed 2 looks really good. Looks to be faster. And it takes place in the Renaissance. I don't know exactly which. I know it's not the Harlem Renaissance, but I'm not sure exactly which Renaissance period it takes place in. But yeah, it looks really good. Looks to be faster pace, and I can't wait for this game. It's gonna be real good. And what else did they talk about? They talked about Final Fantasy. They showed a trailer. A brand new gameplay trailer of Final Fantasy 13. That game looks fantastic. I will probably get that game, play it, and that will be the first. Unfortunately, that will be the first Final Fantasy game that I ever beat. Didn't finish 10. I was about to, but I never got the chance to beat 10. And then they had a surprise for us, and they talked about Final Fantasy 14. And they showed a trailer for it, and they said it would be out next year, the same time as Final Fantasy 13. It looks like they changed verses. Maybe they changed. Remember how there's 2 Final Fantasy 13 games supposed to come out, Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 13 Versus? So maybe they switched that one around and they're making it 14, and they said it's going to be exclusive for the PS3. So that's good. But the thing that kind of scared me about Final Fantasy 14 is that it said online. It had online in the title. I'm like, I don't know about that. But it still looked good. The trailer looked good. I'm excited for 13 and 14, and it's good. That's a good thing for Sony to have, because they need some exclusive titles, and they're getting some. Next, they showed off their motion controller. Yes, Sony has a motion controller that they're deciding to come out with, and to be honest with you, I'm more excited about this motion controller from Sony than I am about Project Natal from the 360. Maybe because I've seen this type of thing in work with the Wii. They used, I mean, to be honest, they had the camera first. They had that motion sensing camera first with the iToy. So they just improved upon it, and the preciseness of the controller, even though it was just a tech demo, it was very precise, and it blew the motion controller that we had out of the water. It's kind of bad, you know, but I thought the motion controller for the PS3 was very impressive, more so than the Xbox 360 motion control camera, and unfortunately the Wii remote. So I'm excited about that. Another thing they talked about was Mod Nation Racer, which expands upon what Little Big Planet started with user-created, user-created software or input or whatever. It expands upon that because people will be able to create their own tracks, their own racers, their own karts, and they'll be able to share them with people all over the world. So that looks really cool. The team that brought you Eco, I don't know, but they also brought you Shadow of the Colossus, which was a really good game. I beat that game, liked it for the PS2. The same team that made you those coming out with a very unique title called The Last Guardian. You should check the trailer out. The Last Guardian is what it's called. It looks unique. It looks like it could be a good game. I know these guys made those other two games that were critically acclaimed, and I played Shadow of the Colossus and really enjoyed that game, so I'm excited to see what they have in store with us for the Last Guardian. So, and the last two games that they showed at the Sony press conference were Gran Turismo 5, and it's about time Gran Turismo 5 comes out, because I've been hearing a lot of crap from Microsoft talking about Forza Motorsport 3, and they saying they're really trying to compete with Sony on that regard. So hopefully Gran Turismo, the king of the racetrack, can come back and reclaim the title that Forza is attempting to take right now. So competition is good. Competition is definitely good for us as gamers, so that's what they're doing. And that, last but not least, from the Sony conference, they talked about and they showed off God of War 3, which, to be honest, I seen that trailer, that first trailer that they came out with, and I wasn't really seeing how, the difference between the PS2 version, and of course, there's a difference, but I didn't see it at first, and when they got, it going at the show, I seen it, and it looks really, really, really cool. And actually, this could actually be a system seller for the Sony PS3. Hopefully they'll reduce the price. That wasn't announced, but I heard a lot of analysts say they think that the price cut is going to come soon. God of War 3 was definitely a good title, and it was impressive to watch. It's Kratos versus the gods in Olympus, and he's got the Titans, and they're on their way. It's an all-out war, basically. So that's a really cool title that I'm looking forward to. Overall, out of the three press conferences, I guess maybe because Sony is such the underdog, I was rooting for them more so, and I wanted to see more exclusive titles, but what they have shown is pretty impressive. I was very impressed by the motion control. I think in that regard, Sony has won, really, because they got the preciseness of their motion controller and the fact that they already had the idea for a camera, and they could possibly do what both Nintendo and Microsoft are doing simultaneously is really cool. So when I think about it like that, I think Sony definitely won with their press conference event. Coming in last place is Nintendo, because they didn't do everything they could have, to really impress people. And coming in second place is Microsoft, even though they did show a lot of really cool games. But I guess I'm really excited about what the Sony has to offer and what they're going to share with the market and everything. So that's my opinions. Tell me what you think. How do you like Sony's press conference? Which one you think did the best? Which motion controller you think will reign supreme in the coming months? And do you think gamers will actually accept them coming from hardcore gamers? Do you think hardcore gamers will actually accept these motion controllers coming from Microsoft and Sony? So tell me what you think. I guess I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.